Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to explore some really intriguing source material. We've got excerpts from a text called The Incognito Treasure of Soul Consciousness.
Right.
Our aim is to unpack its core ideas, its unique take on identity, purpose, and maybe even the future.
This material lays out a very specific spiritual view, quite challenging to many standard ideas about who we are and what reality is. It offers a particular route to happiness, proposes a whole future way of being. It's inviting a complete rethink. So we'll be looking at how this knowledge, the way it's presented here, is meant to guide someone's understanding their whole journey.
Okay, let's dive right in. The text kicks off with something pretty radical. I am a soul, not a body. Man. And it's not just presented as like a nice thought, is it? It's framed as the absolute foundation for everything else. But I mean, beyond just saying it, what are the real implications of actually living that, according to this text? How does it argue this one shift changes everything?
Well, that's what's fascinating. The text really hammers home the practical side. Being soul conscious, it says, lets you remember the Father. But being body conscious, well, that leads to remembering physical relatives and accumulating sins. And it gets deeper. It says, a part of 84 births is recorded in myself, this soul. So this identity isn't just a choice, it's intrinsic, deep. That number, 84 births, it's not random. It's presented as the soul's entire preset journey through all the cosmic ages, perfection, decline, the whole thing, like a spiritual map within you.
Okay, so if that's the core identity, this map within, how does the text say we should use that map day to day? Because it's not just philosophy, right? It gives actual advice.
Yeah, exactly, it does. It draws a direct link between knowing you're a soul and how you feel, your state of being. It advises things like, wake up early, go for a walk, but remember the first lesson. The idea is that remembering I am a soul helps you sort of accumulate happiness, like putting credits in an account. It's about constantly bringing that awareness into everything you do, not just a morning thought.
That idea of accumulating happiness. It feels like it connects to that phrase, the incognito treasure. What is this treasure, the one people of the world don't have?
Yeah, the text is very clear on that. This incognito treasure, it is happiness. Specifically, the happiness that comes from knowing that God the Father is teaching you. And who is this Father? The Supreme Soul, ocean of knowledge, the purifier, almighty authority. It is not a human being who is teaching you. This one is not a bodily being. It says, I take the support of an old body to teach you. So it implies this really direct but non-physical teaching relationship, a unique kind of spiritual learning.
Right. This present study is for your future land of immortality, not for this land of death. It's described as studying now for our future 21 births, aiming for what it calls the golden age.
Exactly. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, the text brings in this grand cosmic timeline. It talks about the cycle of 84 births, which we mentioned, and also the Kalpa tree. Just for clarity, the Kalpa tree here is like a detailed diagram showing humanity's whole 5,000-year cycle, all the different ages. And the 84 births, yeah, that's the soul's journey through that tree, through those ages.
Okay, this idea of a preset cycle, 84 births, whole mapped out journey. That's a big claim. It might feel a bit deterministic. How does the text handle things like free will or, personal effort within that cycle?
The text positions the present time as critical. It calls it the confluence age and describes it as the most auspicious time. Why? Because it's supposedly the exact moment the Father comes to do what? To make the children, that's the term used for the soul, studying the soul conscious again, to change humans into deities. It ties this into a narrative of decline. For it often interpreted as ancient India, representing the world that was viceless, then became vicious. It is now Ravan's kingdom. So Ravan's kingdom, it signifies this fallen state, full of vice, sorrow. And this confluence age, this present moment, is specifically for turning that around, reversing the decline.
And it paints a very vivid picture of the goal, doesn't it? Contrasting this current land of death with the golden age. That's the world of happiness, the land of immortality. It even gives details, like you said, average lifespan 150 years, no untimely death.
Sounds idyllic. The text makes a very sharp distinction here between what it calls the common path of devotion and this specific path of knowledge. It actually claims the whole world is on the path of devotion. People worship, but it argues they don't know why they worship him, referring to Shiva, or understand the bigger cosmic story, like where Lakshmi and Narayan have gone. And then it says, only a handful out of multi-millions actually come and study this knowledge, the knowledge that supposedly unlocks the understanding of the cycle of 84 births. So the implication is demotion is common, but this specific knowledge is rare and uniquely insightful according to the source.
Okay, so given this cosmic drama, this decline into Revan's kingdom,
Hmm.
what about our own internal state right now? The text is pretty blunt. It calls lust the greatest enemy, says it causes sorrow from its beginning through the middle to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's strong language. Does it explain why lust gets singled out so intensely compared to other vices? And if it's so powerful, what's the actual game plan for conquering it, more than just try harder?
Well, it offers a very specific strategy. It all centers on purity. The goal is becoming pure from impure. And it uses this really potent metaphor, removing alloy from the soul. In a fire of yoga, this fire of yoga is said to burn away sins, and a key part of this is breaking off all bodily relationships and connect yourself to the one. So it's presented as a deep internal purification, like spiritual alchemy maybe, not just surface level behavior change.
So it's much deeper than just, understanding the soul things, the whole ethical transformation, actively taking on divine virtues, making sure you don't cause sorrow to anyone, becoming true Vaishnavas. And that term Vaishnav, it clarifies, isn't just about diet or rituals here. It's about becoming fundamentally viceless, a state where those negative impulses just aren't there anymore. So what's the payoff? What's the ultimate result promised for achieving that state?
The text paints a pretty grand picture. This transformation, it claims, leads to becoming the most elevated human beings, even calls them kings of kings. And their kingdom, this state of being, is said to last over 21 generations, which is presented as essentially a full age of perfection, a return to that golden age standard.
Does it recommend? We heard about the morning walk reminder, I am a soul. What else? It mentions controlling physical organs with the power of yoga. What does that entail?
Yes, these practices are key, and the text connects them to achieving something called imperishable omens of Jupiter. Now, in this context, omens of Jupiter, not really about astrology as we know it. It symbolizes a kind of inherent, lasting spiritual wealth, wisdom, leadership qualities that apparently manifest fully in the Golden Age. It's about securing this really elevated, unshakable future state. And this state, the text says, involves conquering death. But it offers a really different view of death. Almost positive, it says. When it is the time, you understand that you will have to shed your old skins and take new ones. You will have visions of that. Bands will play in happiness. Quite a perspective shift on transition.
That is a different take. And there's also that interesting blessing mentioned about accumulating multi-millions. But it's tied to using every treasure, including surrendering your physical wealth to God. And then it says the value of one new paisa, like a penny, becomes equal to a jewel. That's a radical revaluation. Does it talk more about the mindset needed for that? Is it about giving everything away, or is it more like a spiritual investment strategy? What are the returns on these unique multi-millions?
It certainly implies a profound level of trust and detachment, seeing material things primarily as tools for, well, spiritual progress. And maybe linking back to the community aspect, there's that slogan in the text, when there is love in your heart, you can easily receive everyone's cooperation. Which suggests this internal shift, this purity and detachment, isn't just individual, it's meant to directly create harmony and cooperation within the group, maybe powering that collective journey towards the Golden Age.
So we've journeyed through quite a bit here from the incognito treasure of soul consciousness, from that core identity shift, I am a soul, through the cosmic cycles, the paths to purity, the vices, the virtues, right up to this vision of a Golden Age future. That central idea, the incognito treasure of happiness found through this very specific knowledge. It's definitely compelling.
The source presents this very complete, self-contained picture of our potential, our destiny, all framed by cycles of time and this idea of direct divine teaching. And maybe this leaves you, the listener, with something to ponder. What if you were to explore, even just as a thought experiment, this idea of your primary identity being the soul? How might that perspective, as laid out here, shift how you think about your own purpose, your choices, your connection maybe to something larger?
We encourage you to reflect on how they resonate, or maybe how they challenge your own views on who you are, what real happiness is, and the nature of the world itself.